everyone. We are in the car, and don't worry, I'm not holding the phone while I'm driving. We're just leaving a rest area where we made a quick pit stop. We are on our way to Minneapolis, and we are going to be picking up Andrew at college, and then we are going to downtown Minneapolis to the Orpheum Theatre to see Hamilton. And I just wanted to talk to you a little bit about Megan, Andrew, and I are going to see Hamilton. We decided Ben probably might be a little bit too young for it, and he might think it's too long and not follow it. And so he's going to Mima's house, to my mother's house. But anyway, I wanted to talk to you as an intro a little bit about going to Broadway shows not on Broadway, and the pluses and minuses of that. We've gone to a lot of, first let me talk about Broadway in New York. I've been to New York City, I was trying to think about this last night. I think I've been there at least 6 times. And I think every time except 1 or 2, I went to at least one Broadway show. And I think once or twice I went to more than one. So I've been to quite a few Broadway shows. I've also been to shows on the West End in London. I've been to Broadway shows in Chicago. That's probably about it. But, I've been to some good theater like in Dublin and stuff like that. But I enjoyed going to Broadway shows in New York because obviously that's a big kind of iconic experience, going to a Broadway show in New York City. However, I don't know that it's necessarily worth traveling all the way to New York City just to go to Broadway shows. I have friends who do that. But the many Broadway shows tour. And yes, it's not the same cast. It's a touring cast that's hired specifically to tour. But I have always found the quality of Broadway touring shows to be excellent. Would you guys not agree? We have seen many Broadway shows now in Minneapolis. Let's see if we can name them, guys. We've seen Lion King, Aladdin. That one was fabulous. I mean, Lion King was really good too. We've seen Wicked, Waitress. It's not. What else have we seen? I know there's more. I know, we can't think of any more. We can't think of them right now. But we go to a lot of theater in Minneapolis, and not all of it's Broadway.
Romeo, Juliet.
We go to the Guthrie a lot, which is a professional theater company in Minneapolis. We go to History Theater in St. Paul. They do extremely good shows there. They're all originally written historical things about Minnesota. 2 of my favorites there were the one about the Charles Lindbergh baby kidnapping. I don't remember what it was called. 3 of my favorites. Coco, that Megan and I went
Diary.
to. Coco's Diary that we went to, which was about Coco. I can't remember what her name was.
Coco something.
Yeah.
I personally liked the first one that I went to there, the Orphan
Train. Oh,
that was so good.
Yeah, that was really good.
If any of you have a chance to see a show at the History Theater, I would highly suggest it.
Yeah. The other one that I really enjoyed there that I went to with Andrew was Glen Sheen, they're all true stories, which was about the murder at the mansion in Duluth, and the family's name is escaping me now. There's a book about it too. That was literally one of the most entertaining theater productions I've ever been to in my life, which is so weird because it's a murder mystery. But anyway, I've never laughed so hard or enjoyed myself so much. And then we also go to things at the Ordway, which also has Broadway productions, touring productions, and they produce their own stuff too. And we've gone to children's theaters up here a few times. So we go to a lot of theater just in general. And we go to a lot of theater in Minneapolis, so that's probably why we can't, off the top of our heads, remember the other Broadway shows we've been to. But anyway, when you go, let me tell you a little bit about when you go to a Broadway show at a location other than Broadway. It's Broadway Across America is the website that you go to find what's touring in cities in your area. They go all over North America. And usually most of the tickets are serviced through Ticketmaster. So it's a simple ticket buying process most of the time. I happen to subscribe to the Hennepin Theatre Trust, which is the 3 historical theaters on Hennepin Avenue in Minneapolis: the Orpheum, the Pantages, and the State. They have like a conglomerate, if you will, of all. They have one website and they do all their stuff together. If you subscribe to the Hennepin Theatre Trust, you get advance notification of what's coming, and when you get pre-sale offers, you get some discount offers, things like that. So if it's a simple thing to do, and that's how I've gotten most of our tickets and been able to get good seats and things like that. Most of the Broadway touring productions are at the Orpheum. The Orpheum is a beautiful historical theater. I'll get some pictures of it later. The balcony is tight. Even Ben doesn't fit very well in the balcony. And he's 10. And how tall are you, Ben?
Like 4'9",
maybe 4'10". Yeah. Andrew is over 6 feet tall, and so there is no way that Andrew would ever fit in the balcony comfortably. We're watching Wicked and we're like this. So that's the only time we've sat in the balcony there. And we also felt like the sound got lost a little bit, don't you think, Megan? Like with the songs.
And you could not see their faces.
Yeah, you couldn't see their faces. It was too far away.
Yeah, when we went to see Wicked, it took me, the only way I knew Elphaba had glasses only because the actress who played Glinda kept putting her hands up to the actress who played Elphaba's face, like she was putting on and taking off her glasses.
But you couldn't see.
But you couldn't see that she had glasses.
Yeah.
That's the only way you could tell.
You really couldn't see their facial expressions at all.
No.
And so that's the only time we've gotten seats in the balcony at that theater. And a lot of people do get the balcony seats. I mean, I think the balcony always sells out, but that's because they're trying to pay less money. To me, it's worth it to spend more money to have decent seats. Now, last year we got season tickets to the Broadway in Minneapolis, but we didn't use most of them. We ended up selling almost all of them. I think we only went to 2 or 3 shows and we sold the rest, because the whole deal was, if you had subscribed to the Broadway full season last year, you were the first people to get to renew your subscription for this year, and you were guaranteed to get tickets to Hamilton. Well, there were only 3 shows, maybe 4, that I want to go to this year, and I just was like, I don't want to spend another $1,600 for season tickets when I'm not going to go to 70% of the shows or whatever. So I took the risk, and I did not renew my Broadway season this year. We had actually bought tickets to Hamilton in Chicago, which is not touring, it's its own production of Hamilton. And there were a couple problems with that. One was we just couldn't work it out when we could go to Chicago. We had too much other stuff going on this summer. We were supposed to go in July. And the second thing was Andrew really wanted to see Hamilton too, and Andrew could not go with us to Chicago. So here was the problem. The date we were supposed to see Hamilton in Chicago was before the Minneapolis tickets were released on sale. So it was a chance I took. I risked it. I sold our tickets to Chicago Hamilton and just said, I'm going to have to take my chances that I can get tickets to Hamilton in Minneapolis. Well, I lucked out. I pre-registered somehow or something. I had a code that gave me the opportunity to buy Hamilton tickets in Minneapolis at the very first time they were released for pre-sale. Okay, now that whole experience of buying those tickets was a nightmare in itself, which I won't get into right now, but I did get them. But I think it was within 30 minutes of my buying my tickets, and it's here for 6 weeks in Minneapolis. They were sold out. Now, when I say they were sold out, that doesn't mean that every seat was sold, because they do have a lottery. That's another thing. If it's a very in-demand show and it's difficult for you to get tickets and you're not able to buy them ahead of time online, they do usually have a lottery. And they do also usually have daily rush tickets, which is another way that you can get tickets, and they're cheap. In the lottery, you can put in for the lottery every day. I'm in a show right now. Megan and I are both in the show Our Town right now, and I'm playing Mrs. Webb, and the woman who's playing Mrs. Gibbs, who's also a co-worker of mine, she went to Washington, D.C. in August. She put in the lottery in Washington, D.C. to see Hamilton every day she was there, but she didn't get it. And so when she came back to home, she put in for the lottery in Minneapolis every day. And she got them the day after her birthday, wasn't it? The day after her birthday, she won the lottery, and she got 2 seats to Hamilton and Minneapolis front row. So don't give up. If you can't buy tickets, you still might be able to get them. I mean, this goes until October 6th or 7th, I think. So there's still going to be lottery for this show every day. So anyway, I really feel like the quality of the productions is just as good in the touring productions as it is on Broadway.
If not better.
If not better, yeah. I mean,
from personal experience, you really have to step up your game for a touring show, because it is very difficult. You need to be able to adapt to the different performance spaces and know the show better than you know yourself, pretty much.
Megan has performed in a touring production. She has toured with a show, so she knows what she's talking about. Yeah, she's right. You have to be able to adapt to different audience, different theater space, different backstage, all that stuff. And you have to be able to recreate the show exactly, no matter where you are. And I would expect that their rehearsal time is fairly limited when they're on the road. So we're excited about seeing this today, and that's just some of our thoughts. I know this isn't necessarily travel related, but for some of you, if you don't live in a big city, but maybe you live within a day's drive or whatever of a big city where Broadway might tour, this can be a travel thing for you. If you're traveling to go see a Broadway show, and maybe make a weekend out of it or whatever, and see some of the other sites in that city. Some of our favorite things that we like to go to in Minneapolis, guys, the Science Museum in Minnesota, the other theater places that I mentioned, Minnesota Zoo, Como Zoo, Valley Fair, Nickelodeon Universe, the Mall of America. There's a really cool nature preserve near the Mall of America. That's neat. There's a lot of great things to see and do in Minneapolis, St. Paul, and the Twin Cities. So that would be my suggestion. If you're going to a big city anyway, look into seeing a Broadway show or some other theater production. Or if there's a Broadway show you really want to see, use it as a travel opportunity to a city maybe that you haven't visited in a while or have never been to, or something like that. Does anybody else have any thoughts on what then?
That place where we went to the summer month.
Oh, Fort Snelling?
Yeah, Fort Snelling.
Fort Snelling, yeah. Historical Fort Snelling is right near the airport and Mall of America too, and that's a really cool place to visit as well. There's a lot of really cool places. So yeah, that's my suggestion, my thoughts about seeing a Broadway touring production. So I'll get some pictures. I'm obviously not going to take video at the theater, that's not allowed. But I'll take some pictures when we're at the show so you can kind of see what the Orpheum looks like. And yeah, so thanks for joining us, guys. Safe travels.